Welcome to what is the Being Well Together programme lunchtime webinar. Whilst we wait for people to join us, we're going to play a short 30-second video to get us started.
Interested in the well-being of your organization? Do you find it difficult to know where to start or how your existing well-being offering is working? We have worked with experts to create holistic well-being solutions suitable for organizations at any stage, including our unique Being Well Together program, the integrated solution for all your health, safety, and well-being needs. Our research indicates that only 49% of companies have a written well-being strategy, and most of those do not measure effectiveness. Our range of solutions help you to identify gaps in well-being provision, providing clear guidance on how you can address them. Becoming a supporter of the Being Well Together program means access to tools and resources, allowing you to effectively develop and implement a health, safety, and well-being strategy in a joined-up, holistic way. You will see the health and well-being of your workforce improve and make the most of your investments. The Being Well Together program is available from British Safety Council or Mates in Mind, both registered charities.
Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. Chances are, if you are attending this webinar, it's because you're keen to support. Ooh, hang on, sorry, I need to put on my webcam. Let me start again. Thank you for joining this webinar today. Thank you. Chances are that if you are attending this webinar, it's because you're keen to support the health, safety and well-being of your staff. Maybe you've already spent hundreds or thousands on wellbeing interventions with perhaps not so much uptake. Or maybe you've attempted to write an employee wellbeing survey only to realise that you don't really know what to put in it. Or perhaps you've considered even getting a diploma in organisational wellbeing just so that you can wrap your head around the whole concept. The good news is that you don't need to do any of that. As a not-for-profit organisation, the British Safety Council has created the Being Well Together programme. So in this webinar, you're going to find out exactly what the Being Well Together programme is, how it can help you to make the most of your organisation's investments, support your employees and measure the success of your wellbeing interventions, all without having a dedicated wellbeing person in your organisation and without having to spend hours trawling the internet to find out how to write a wellbeing strategy. So in the next 30 minutes, you will be able to discover a little bit about our history, why organisations might need a wellbeing strategy, what our Being Well Together programme is and how it can help your organisation to become exemplars in health, safety and wellbeing, how you can become a Being Well Together supporter. Then in the remaining 15 minutes, if you wish to stay on for Q&A, then we'd love to answer any questions that you have about the Being Well Together programme. Apologies, I'm just getting a little note saying that my slides aren't being shared on the screen. So bear with me one moment and I will just sort that out. Perfect. Apologies for that. You didn't miss too much, just the plan for the next half an hour. And ultimately, at the end of this webinar, whether you decide to invest in the Being Well Together programme or not, you should come away with some massive clarity. So the Being Well Together programme is a programme from the British Safety Council. The British Safety Council was founded over 65 years ago by James Tighe. He was globally recognised for his determination, achievement and ability to offend others. In 1995, James was famous for, he was a fan of using posters to create impact. And in 1995, one even featured the Pope in a hard hat to raise awareness of the risks of HIV. In the end, it had to be pulled because it became one of the most complained about adverts in the UK at that time. In the 1980s, James Tighe founded the British Wellness Council. Even back then, wellbeing was in our roots and paved the way for us to create the Being Well Together programme. We're a charity with over 4,500 members, over 60 countries. And through our Keep Thriving campaign, we're working hard to raise awareness of the importance of all organisations to put a workplace wellbeing high on their agenda. Here at British Safety Council, our vision is that no one should be injured or made ill through their work. So wellbeing affects everyone, and most people think that wellbeing is physical and mental health, and more recently, financial wellbeing too. And it is. And actually, we encourage employers to look at more than that. Being Well Together is built around the domains of wellbeing identified by the Chartered Institute of Professional Development, CIPD. Our framework is designed to guide supporters in considering a holistic approach to supporting their people's wellbeing. The programme guides supporters on what to consider in each area. We know that all of these domains matter. In the health domain, we include physical health, physical safety and mental health. We know that good work is good for us and it of course directly correlates with our well-being. Values and principles, are we promoting ethical standards? Are we being fully inclusive? UK workers are some of the least engaged in the world. We want to engage them and let them know that their voice is heard within our organisations. When we look at personal growth, how are we helping our employees to grow and develop? Good lifestyle choices. Are we encouraging our staff to get enough physical activity, or are we modelling behaviour of being stuck at our desks, eating at our computers and barely moving from 8 AM till 6 PM? And then finally, of course, financial wellbeing. Over the past few months, in fact, over the last year really, we've had more financial wellbeing inquiries than ever. Increasing prices have become a real concern for many, but you don't need me to tell you that. So those 7 pillars of wellbeing are great. The challenge that we see time and time again is that organisations don't know where to start. We find that lots of organisations dive into illness management, mental health first aid, access to counselling, return to work or stay at work provisions, essentially quite reactive strategies. But what they're not investing in is why they need those things. Why do they need mental health first aiders? Why do they need so much counselling for their people? What we really want to be doing is addressing the issues upfront, so there isn't so much dependence on mental health first aiders. For example, even if all of your staff were mental health first aid trained, they may still be stressed because they don't feel like they're being listened to by line management, or maybe they're struggling with their finances. Yes, the mental health first aiders are there to help, but are they really addressing the root of the issue? In this example, that perhaps the employee wants to feel listened to by their line manager, or perhaps they need help with their finances. Here at British Safety Council, we focus on primary and secondary measures of wellbeing in the workplace. Secondary interventions reduce the likelihood and the consequences of illness, and primary interventions are suitable for 100% of employees to reduce illness and promote wellbeing. We use these together strategically so we can significantly enhance the chances of enhanced health and well-being. Because to be honest, when I look at the UK stats, it's not looking too good at the moment. So in the year to November 2020, 62.8% of adults were overweight or obese, and we know that those figures are likely rising. According to the British Heart Foundation, 7.6 million people are living in the UK with heart and circulatory diseases. Almost 1 in 5 people, so that's 18% of people with mental health problems, are in problem debt. People are experiencing mental health problems are 3.5 times more likely to be in problem debt than people without mental health problems. And diabetes continues to rise, with 700 people a day diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in the UK. In the latest report released from HSE last week, 1.8 million people reported having work-related ill health cases in 2021-22. So we can see that this is affecting our businesses. 914,000 workers are suffering from work-related stress, depression, or anxiety. And nearly 4/5 of respondents for CIPD's 2022 report reported that some stress-related absence in their organisation over the last year. And this figure rises to 90% of large organisations, so those of you with more than 250 employees. And in April this year, CIPD and Simply Health released their latest Health and Wellbeing at Work report, and that those with a standalone wellbeing strategy report improved productivity amongst all staff. In fact, according to CIPD and Simply Health's research that was released in 2022, organisations that take a strategic approach to employee wellbeing are far more likely to report a number of positive achievements from their activity, not just in terms of productivity that we just looked at, but at both an individual and an organisational level. And as HSE quite rightly pointed out, it's an employer's duty to protect the health, safety and welfare of their employees and other people who might be affected by their business. And let's face it, wellbeing is the same as welfare, just a little bit more jazzed up to become a bit more modern. So how are you going to meet that legal obligation? What's your organisation's plan to meet that legal obligation? We speak to lots of organisations like yourselves that struggle to know where to start or how to improve their current provisions. They've tried engaging their staff with awareness campaigns or activities. They've put on training in financial wellbeing or resilience or mental health. Perhaps they've even got mental health first aiders. And actually what's truly getting in the way is that they've not done a needs analysis. So they have no data to go off. And without that data, organisations end up reacting to whatever they think they might be facing, without knowing what the organisation's needs are or employees want, so that there's no awareness or engagement. And then there's access challenges as they don't know what's there or how to access it. In May last year, we did a financial wellbeing webinar, which was great. And we got lots of inquiries off the back of it to talk about financial wellbeing training. And I remember speaking to one lady and she said, well, we tried putting on financial wellbeing webinars in January, but we got no uptake. And I said, well, did you ask your staff if that was what they wanted? No, I didn't. So then when we don't get the engagement, we find that the perceived benefit is low, as is the line manager buy-in. And then without line manager or director buy-in return, it's unlikely to go anywhere and the provision will be seen as ineffective. So because of all these barriers, organisations tend to pick bits: mental health first aid, return to work policies, counselling. Cary Cooper, he's a world-leading expert on wellbeing in the workplace. And he said that successful management interventions are those that ensure that the context is evaluated and understood. One size rarely fits all, and changes need to be crafted to the specific demands of the situation. Going back to the 2022 report that CIPD and Simply Health released this year, it looks at the difference between organisations that have a health and wellbeing strategy and those that don't. They report that organisations that take a strategic approach to wellbeing are far more likely to report a number of positive outcomes for both employees and organisations. And they report that over a quarter of those with a standalone health and wellbeing strategy report improved productivity compared with 5% that don't, for example. And these findings are really highlighting the importance of taking a targeted strategic approach to wellbeing and the wider organisational gains that are possible from concerted investment in wellbeing. So we talked earlier about the domains of wellbeing. We've got health, good work, values and principles, social and collective, personal development, good lifestyle choices, and financial wellbeing. And as health and safety experts, we also bring the Plan, Do, Check, Act model into our approach to wellbeing. When I speak to people in the health and safety realm about the Plan, Do, Check, Act approach, their face lights up because they know how effective this is and they love it. The Plan, Do, Check, Act approach is a really brilliant way to break companies out of stagnancy and transition them into a system of continual improvement. The model is simple and easy to understand, yet it is a really powerful driver for meaningful change and improvement while minimizing waste and increasing efficiency. If you've got health and safety in your title, I'm sure you're sort of nodding away right now, agreeing with me. And it's this Plan, Do, Check, Act approach, along with the holistic approach to health, safety and wellbeing. They're just two of the things that make our Being Well Together program offering so different to the rest of the market. So what is the Being Well Together program? That's what you've come here for, right? So the Being Well Together program has a lot of tools and resources available for you. We have the organisation assessment tool, employee wellbeing survey. We have a dedicated support manager, unlimited access to start the conversation training, employer-specific wellbeing guides and fact sheets, employee-specific wellbeing guides and fact sheets, employer access to template HR policies, unlimited access to Corona HR and 24/7 HR hotline, Being Well Together certificates, logos and email footers, wellbeing campaign packs, posters, infographics, access to new live webinars and pre-recorded webinars, access to exclusive roundtable events, and discounted access to Being Well Together partner services. So it's all of these tools and resources that give you the opportunity to do something that you haven't done before or improve what you've already got. If we had another 3 hours, I'd take you through all of these incredible benefits. However, I know that you're busy and you want to know what's going to make the real difference to your organisation. So let's start with the organisation assessment tool. One of the most important aspects of putting any wellbeing provision in place is knowing what your organisation's current situation is and what's needed to improve it. Covering the domains of wellbeing using the Plan, Do, Check, Act model, our organisation health and wellbeing assessment tool allows you to undertake a thorough assessment of your health, safety and wellbeing provision. The assessment draws on existing recognised and evidence frameworks from within health and safety, clinical and human resources fields. The assessment tool is intended to enable your organisation to find out what is going on. You can benchmark against a series of key measures in relation to the management of health, safety and wellbeing within your organisation, and then use that as a baseline to measure the impact of your wellbeing strategies and interventions year on year. You can identify gaps in your current approach to help map out a measurable plan of action towards best practice so that you can move along the continuum to ensure that you are always moving forward. And finally, you can use our organisation assessment tool to inform your decisions on the most suitable employee interventions for your organisation, focusing crucially on prevention rather than cure. The organisation assessment tool provides you an instant detailed report containing prioritised recommendations to help you structure your wellbeing strategy in a holistic and integrated way. And then we have our unique employee wellbeing survey. It'll provide you with your employees' perspectives of how well you're doing to improve their health, safety and well-being. Using our survey, you'll have anonymous insights to understand what your people feel you are doing well as an organisation and areas for improvement needed, as well as what's working for them. The survey also asks your employees questions about their well-being, levels of activity, smoking, eating and drinking habits to help you to build a picture of health and well-being of your staff. My favourite part about it is that it's designed to work specifically with our Being Well Together organisation assessment tool that we just spoke about, so that you can measure how your organisation is performing directly against employee perceptions. For example, you might think that your senior leadership promotes a good culture of mental health and well-being, I'm sure they do, yet you might find out from your employees that only 20% of staff think that they do. Or perhaps you think you've got a good handle on staff working outside of their contracted hours. You might find out from the survey that 70% of your staff actually work beyond their normal hours. So having these two assessments side by side and a report detailing their comparison saves you spending hours trawling through data trying to determine the best use of your valuable resources. Instead, you're given a clear picture of your people's needs and that you can match it with your organisation's needs. Our Being Well Together supporters also find the reassessments incredibly valuable. So we reassess after year 1 and after year 2 and so on, so that we can see what's improved or not within the organisation. So by doing that, we help organisations to see what's worked well, what needs improvement, and what's next, without them having to trawl through all of the data, all the surveys, all of the assessments. We do it for them right there. One of the common complaints that we hear from organisations is that they're struggling to do it on their own. With a dedicated support manager, you don't have to. So our experienced support managers get to know you and your organisation so that they can help you to meet the needs of your organisation and your people. Your dedicated support manager will meet with you about once every 6 to 8 weeks to provide the guidance you need to get your health, safety and wellbeing strategy off the ground. They'll help you to stay rooted in the data, making sure that what you put in place is what your business needs and what your staff need. And crucially, your experienced support manager helps you to plan your wellbeing program, making sure it's rooted in their data, in your data, and they help you to identify and plan for appropriate change, not assumptions about what employees want. As you saw a couple of slides ago, there's tons and tons more tools and resources that you will have access to as a Being Well Together supporter. If we went through all of them just now, we'd be here for another 3 hours, and I know that you're busy. So safe to say that our Being Well Together program will give you the tools and resources you need to put together a health, safety and wellbeing strategy. And you've probably gathered by now, what we're not talking about is a simple fix. We're talking about a long-term cultural change with a whole organisation approach. At one end of the spectrum, organisational wellbeing is a benefits and rewards initiative. At the other, it's a key strategic business imperative. We're moving from a tertiary intervention stage of being reactive to sickness absence, being seen to do the right thing and having policies for policy's sake, to a place of primary intervention where multiple data sets inform your approach, you're getting the right interventions in for the right people, and the culture is coming from the top down. You can see why we need a strategy behind it, right? Our Being Well Together program supports you to enhance your culture, resulting in greater staff retention, create a joined up approach to health, safety and wellbeing, and crucially, it helps you to make the most of your investments into your staff and your business. Our wellbeing domains and the Plan, Do, Check, Act approach all mold together to form 10 simple steps, where we help you to create the right strategy for your unique needs with a vast array of resources, including guidance on specific work issues through to connecting your workforce to appropriate support. We know that your organisation is not the same as anyone else's because your people in it are unique. Our support manager will guide you in delivering tailored messages to your workforce, to leaders and champions, helping everyone to understand their roles and responsibilities when it comes to health, safety and wellbeing at your organisation. By becoming a Being Well Together supporter, you gain access to all of the tools and resources to build your own relevant health, safety and wellbeing strategy. Importantly, our approach enables you to make the most out of your investments while providing your staff with the support that they want and that they need. And of course, along the way, we can support you too. If you're in your strategy, you identify that you need more mental health first aiders training, then we can provide that. Or if your staff have highlighted that what they want is financial wellbeing support, we're here for that too. And whilst the Being Well Together program is in equal parts done by you and done for you approach, if you do want more of a done for you approach, we can certainly support you with our consultancy. So what's next? If you want to invest in the Being Well Together program for the benefit of your business or your staff, or if you want to find out more about how the Being Well Together program can enhance your business, then get in touch with one of our Being Well Together program experts. You can do it one of three ways, or you can do all three if you like. You can fill in the form as you exit this webinar. You can call us on 020-8600-1000, or you can email us on support@beingwelltogether.org. And we've got a new series of webinars scheduled for January, so keep a lookout on social media platforms and in your email inbox for your invite to the next one. It's time for some questions and answers. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about the Being Well Together programme and how it can enhance your organisation and your staff. We're now going to spend the next 15 to 20 minutes on questions. So I'm going to invite my colleague Marcus Herbert, who's our Head of Wellbeing here at British Safety Council. And if you have some questions about the Being Well Together programme or any of our other wellbeing services here at the British Safety Council, I'd invite you to pop them in the chat, or I think it might actually be another function. You can write them down and our colleague Susanna will ask us the questions live on the call.
Hi Joe, just to let you know, my computer just completely shut itself down about 30 seconds before this slide. So if for whatever reason I get kicked off, it's not because I don't want to be here.
Thanks for letting me know, Marcus. I won't take offence if you just leave.
Joe, we have a question about the slides. One of the attendees missed the beginning, and they're asking about the ROI £5.30p for every £1 spent. I missed the beginning of the webinar, so some might have missed how this is calculated and what evidence is it from.
Marcus, I think you're best answering that one.
Yeah, so that actually comes from research that was released by Deloitte back in April of this year. And of course, return on investment when it comes to wellbeing is quite a difficult thing to assess. There are multiple calculators that can determine return on investment. If you're looking at, say, return on investment for, say, musculoskeletal health, you could have a look at the time that a person might need to leave work in order to get treated for whatever their MSK issue is, versus the amount of cost that it might be to provide them with virtual physiotherapy. So as I said, there's multiple ways to assess return on investment, but that comes from a research paper that was from Deloitte. So that is freely accessible data as well. You can, if you just do a little Google search, we can actually share the link to that actually in follow-up Q&A to this, if that helps.
Thanks, Marcus. Do continue to pop your questions in the chat and we'd be more than happy to answer them, whether it's about wellbeing in general, wellbeing in the workplace, the Being Well Together programme. We would love to help you out.
I do have a few questions that are coming through right now. The first one is, do you have any connection with the 5 ways to wellbeing NEF research?
So we don't have any direct connections with the 5 ways to wellbeing. However, of course, you know, we recognise the value in the 5 ways to wellbeing, and that actually features as part of the health domain within the 7 domains of wellbeing that we refer to. So we don't have any direct connection with them, but definitely advocate the work that they're producing.
I do have another question. Well, they're saying that is a really great session and really helpful. And they're asking about the size of the company for like the employee that you can help. So if there is a minimum size of the company.
Yeah, so the minimum that we tend to work with is around 10 employees. Anything 10 and over, we are happy to work with and we'd love to work with.
We do have a few questions about the cost, about the average cost of the program. And And also they're asking if there are any particular industry or sector that you support.
So in terms of the cost of the program, so we work with organisations of all sizes, well, starting from 10 employees all the way up, up and over and beyond. So the program actually starts. It's the reason why I'm pausing is because it's crazy. So all small organisations start at £525 for 3 years. That's our starting price. So the program is very reasonable in terms of costs. And if you do want to find out more about those costs, then I would encourage you to scan the QR code on this slide, speak to one of our experts, and they can sort of outline with you how it works and the costs involved.
So yeah, just on the pricing, obviously, the very first time that I was introduced to the Being Well Together program, I just assumed that it would be, very expensive because of the amount of support that's included in it, and not just the amount of support, but the impact that it can have based on that return on investment that we were talking about, and also that the research shows that any organisation that has a wellbeing strategy in place will result in better outcomes, whether it be reduced absenteeism, improved staff morale, or increased productivity. But then obviously, because British Safety Council is a charity, of course, part of this Being Well Together programme is delivering solutions for organisations that need them, but at a cost-effective, approach. And of course, we do have other wellbeing services as well, as Joe has already referred to within this presentation. But the Being Well Together programme itself is designed specifically to be of cost-effective support.
Also, we have a question about any particular industry or sector we can support, and if we work with the care sector, especially NHS.
Yeah, so I mean, at the moment, of course, it's not a case of any sector specifically is needing the support the most, or is coming to us directly because of the sector that they operate in. However, we have recently been looking at specific sectors and where the need might be based on the rate of absence, within the HSC statistics. And what we find is that sectors such as education, private health, and also public services seems to be the areas of highest amount of absence and potentially the highest amount of need to have effective wellbeing programs in place. So we will be looking to work more specifically with those sectors as time goes on. But ultimately, we recognise that no matter what sector you operate in, having a wellbeing strategy is going to be of value to not just the organisation, but also the employees that work within that organisation.
To add to that, as Marcus said, the Deloitte report that we were referring to with the return on investment is easily accessible, as is the CIPD and Simply Health report. I would encourage you to have a search for that online and have a read, because it's really fascinating to read through how much a wellbeing strategy can really help organisations.
Again, a similar question about, they were asking about what is the typical organization that does sign up to this program. So probably like the plan that you already have, what sector they are.
So what's lovely about our current range of Being Well Together supporters is that it's really varied. So we're having the opportunity to work with lots of sectors, lots of different size organisations, and really helping them to tailor their wellbeing strategy to their organisation, because that's what it's all about.
Do we have any more questions there at all, Susanna?
Not at the moment. They are asking, the question that they were asking was if the webinar is going to be available, and I was responding yes on the chat. So yes, it's going to be available, the recording.
Yes, we will send you in the next few days. We will send you a recording, and we will send you the Q&A document as well, so that you can so you've got those to hand.
Okay, well, I guess if we haven't had any further questions, then thank you very much to everybody that made some time to attend the lunch webinar today and to learn a bit more about the Being Well Together program. Of course, please do make the most of that 30-minute complimentary consultation that we're providing as part of this attendees of this webinar. Don't forget to follow us on the relevant socials as well. We've included the handles on the screen. And naturally, if you do have any questions that are outside of having a complimentary consultation or following us on socials, then you can contact us via our email address and our telephone number on the screen.
Great. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, everyone, for attending, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thanks, Joe.